Technical Committee of National Geopark Network and member of National Geoparks Committee of Malaysia. I'd like to invite Professor 2komoo for his speech on Asia Pacific Geoparks Network, current status and future direction. Please welcome him with a big round of applause.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This morning I'm going to talk on apgn network, current status and future direction. This topic is sort of given by the organizer, basically to share and highlight the progress of apgn. So it's a little bit dry compared to the first presentation by Dr. Zuros, who really inspired us towards moving forward with geoparks. I will give my presentation based on these few points. First, I'm going to touch the importance of Asia Pacific Geopark. Basically, Professor Zuros has described this in a lengthy manner, but I'm just touching some few important points. Then I will talk about what is apgn, later looking at the relationship between GGN, EGN and apgn, discuss a little bit on the role of apgn, and finally talking about the challenges and also the future direction. So few slides, 3 or 4 slides, refreshing why we need a geopark, and particularly why we need Asia Pacific geoparks. First, we need a geopark because we want to protect and conserve geosites. In Asia Pacific, there are so many countries that doesn't have tools to protect and conserve geosites. So, by having such a thing as geopark, the community can start identifying and map of geoheritage sites of national and global interest. The geologists who have been working a lot on the exploitation can start, few of them, looking at geoheritage. It will encourage R&D for geoheritage conservation. Without R&D, how can we show the national and global value of geopark, of geoheritage? Then some of this important geoheritage, we can start develop action plan for protection and conservation. And finally, we can use the geosite for general information or for public education and for tourism. So this is the fundamental of why we are having the geopark. Secondly, is about encourage the culture of public education. Currently, we can see clearly that biological diversity have utilized their knowledge extensively for public education. A lot of general public can mention species names. They can start talking about endangered species in the way like a biologist talking. But how many of public can even mention more than 5 different types of rocks? So geopark is about encouraging the culture of public education, looking at the how community should appreciate the value of geoheritage and cultural resources related to it. Collaboration among stakeholders based on the shared value. Heritage has always been a shared value. Local community and school children should be utilized or make aware that they are the custodian of local heritage. And by doing so, we will create a greater appreciation toward informal and non-formal education. It's not just a formal education. Another reason why we need Asia Pacific Geopark is because it is a beautiful, innovative tool for new economic opportunity. So we can see from our experience from 90 geoparks, a lot of new jobs being created, new facilities, increased visitor, and all these create new jobs. We can see the different type of entrepreneurship. We can start looking at the relationship between geopark and food, geopark and accommodation, and so on. We can enhance traditional tourism activity. So not that we avoid or discourage traditional tourism activity, but geopark enhance or become complementary for the traditional tourism activity. And perhaps there are more new recreational activity can be created within the geopark, and this in turn will also enlarge the tourism or geotourism activity. And finally, it is about introducing the new innovative type of tourism, which we call geotourism. This can become a powerful tool to shift some of the thinking in terms of tourism activity. So geotourism is a new product. It is about education-based tourism. It is about knowledge, and we know that as the community advance, they are excited by the knowledge and they want to know more and more about their nature. We can, or public or tourists can appreciate better when they look at landscape of aesthetic value. And most importantly, as the geopark advances, we will introduce an integrated tourism product, whereby the geological, biological, and cultural based component is integrated in the tourism activity. So now I'm going to talk on what is apgn, established in 2007 and endorsed by GGN in 2008. So it is only 5 or 6 years old compared to EGN, which is already 12, 13 years old. And GGN is almost 10 years old. So we are a new kid in the block. From various countries in Asia Pacific who have some experience in geotourism, geoheritage, and geopark. So we discuss the future of apgn. And we have also introduced the coordinating committee. This coordinating committee consists of 2 members from each global geopark. And we had our second coordination committee a few days ago. And I can see the growth and the interest of the networking. And of course, the purpose of having apgn is to provide a networking platform. There is a need to have a regional network. People will say, we already have a GGN. Why must we have apgn? So we know that as this geopark community grows, it is not an easy task to manage and to maintain the high quality by having one organization which is GGN. So there is a need to have regional. But for APGN, we act as a member. We act as a member of GGN. Slightly different from EGN, where they started first. They started before GGN, and they are like independent networking body. But we are few years later, and we act as a member of GGN. We help GGN. That means all the application and approval of Global Geopark is 100% based on GGN guidelines and processes. APGN acted as facilitator when needed to help national committees as well as aspiring geopark. And we have two representatives, APGN have two representatives in GGN. So we always bring the interest of APGN when we have discussion of the common interest. So, what is the journey of APG? We can see clearly EGN, European Geopark, they are created by European Geopark Network. But APG is not created by Asia Pacific Geopark Network. Instead, it is an evolution in the process of GGN. For example, we started from there are some special areas which is suitable to be developed as a geopark in many countries. Then the community or the province show their interest and start talking to member of national network. And in many countries like in China and in Japan, they will become a national geopark under the national committee or national network. So that is the beginning. Then as the geopark grow, the national committee will select the best at that time, or the geopark which is ready to become an aspiring global geopark, and then promote, and the aspiring geopark will start applying to become a GGN, and the process of becoming a member of GGN will start. Once it becomes a member of GGN, it is automatically a member of APGN. So there is there's a vast difference between EG Geopark and APG European Geopark and Asia Pacific Geopark. So if you look at this simple diagram, there is a agreement between EGN and GGN, because EGN come first, that when EGN created a European Geopark, it is automatically a member of GGN. So it become European Geopark first. Then some like few days ago, they become European Geopark few days before it become a global geopark. So it becomes European geopark first, then it is a global geopark. Whereas for Asia Pacific Geopark, the moment you become GGN, global geopark, you are automatically an Asia Pacific Geopark. And the relationship between Asia Pacific Geopark and APGN is not solid boundary. It is the relationship is of the understanding and the networking of a relationship. Whereas the relationship between EGN and European Geopark is bound by all the processes that created the European European Geopark. So this is a vast difference between EG and Geopark, EG Geopark, European Geopark and Asia Pacific Geopark. So just to show the evolution of Asia Pacific Geopark, I have not put this the slide of 2003 because we have 3 more new members, 2 from China and 1 from Japan. But we can also see there are 2 red. I hope this is too small. 2 red Geopark, which means that they are no longer a member of networking. So I like to show this slide because I can see the evolution, how the new country come in, and also the evolution through time, how each country become or develop their own geopark. So we can see a smooth and fantastic working procedure or strategy in China and in Japan. Every year we have a new geopark, whereas other countries, they are still struggling to even have the second geopark. Okay, a little bit on the current role of apgn. So we have AC, Advisory Committee. Basically, currently we meet at least once a year, formally, and we are also communicating quite regularly. What we do is to formulate policy and strategic direction of apgn, and we also learn a lot from EGN. And CC, Coordination Committee, is basically a coordination of networking, sharing of experience, joint activity between APG. So few days ago, we have the second CC, and I can see clearly there are a progress in this networking activity. Other than that, apgn will do their task through advisory role to promote individual aspiring geopark. So some individual aspiring geopark talk to us, and if some of us have time, we will go visit and provide the advisory. Not only individual geopark, but sometimes we are giving an advisory to the National Geopark Network or National Geopark Committee. But most importantly, what we have, I think the successful story is organizing biannual Asia Pacific Geopark Symposium. So this is the 3rd symposium, and we can see the symposium grow steadily from the 1st symposium in Langkawi. We are still struggling. Then we have a 2nd symposium in Vietnam, and now we have the 3rd symposium here, which we get more comfortable. And I'm hoping, or I can announce now that the next Asia Pacific Geopark Symposium in 2015 will be held in Kaigan, Japan, and by that time I'm sure that we are more mature in running this symposium. And we are start talking about possible organizing possible workshop and training for development of geopark. Like Professor Zuros has mentioned, EGN have conducted 7 consecutive workshops, 2-week workshops, and we are just started talking about it, and hopefully by next year we will have our first workshop on capacity building, particularly for the advisory level. APGN challenges into two different components. One is the organizational challenge as an organization, First, we have a huge gap of economic development among apgn countries. Not only huge gap of economy, but huge gap of understanding of geoheritage or knowledge of geoheritage and geopark. We also have quite a bit a barrier of variety of national language. So I love very much to communicate freely with Japanese, with China, and with Korean, but most of the time we can only communicate very little because we don't talk with the same language. But I believe in a few years' time this will change, and I can see now a lot of Chinese representatives can speak very good English. So this means that the communication will getting better. And another challenge, organization challenge is about geoheritage conservation. Many countries doesn't have legal instrument. Some don't even have understanding. Some don't even know or heard of what is geoheritage. We know of biological heritage, but what is geoheritage? Of course they are, but now things getting better. And another challenge is about government system. We have a very strong top-down government system. I would say, apart from Japan, which has quite strong provisional or prefecture government, and most of countries in Asia Pacific have strong federal government, weaker state or provisional government. So to have an initiative that is coming from bottom up is not an easy task. So it has to start or a combination of top down and bottom up, and slowly it will turn into bottom up. In terms of developmental challenges or challenge, first, the idea of geopark itself is very new. 2000 is still new. For us in Asia Pacific, we start in 2007, maybe China started in 2004. This is very new, and many stakeholders does not understand the vision. They are still, I can see and I can feel, some still look at geopark as the completely tourism opportunity, whereas geopark is far more than that. It is about regional sustainable development. It is about local community sustainable development. But this is still a lot of work to do. Other than China, and maybe I would say also Japan, many countries doesn't have mechanism for geoheritage conservation. Government systems are relatively weak when it comes into new initiatives, particularly with regard to multi-stakeholder participation. So if we have one department activity, we are very good. But when two departments have to work together, or three departments have to work together, then things is getting a bit difficult. So this is not a common practice in Asia Pacific. So that's why I consider this still a challenge. And finally, we can also see in some countries, or in many countries in Asia Pacific, community is less involved in conservation and usually not empowered. Of course, some developed countries in Asia Pacific, the situation is much better. So, based on the future direction, in terms of future direction, the current scenario, based on the current scenario, we would like to still promote and support initiatives for geoheritage conservation and geotourism product development. I keep saying geoheritage conservation and geotourism product development because I believe this is the two things that make geopark happen. If you want to have a geopark at the end of the tunnel, at the end of the day, we must do geoheritage conservation and build geotourism product. So then we are in that business, and finally it is the geopark. Then we have to support, we will support and provide advisory service to our development of national geopark network. So there are, we believe in Asia Pacific countries, regions, national committee or national network is very crucial. Without national committee, it is very hard and very difficult to create a geopark. And we will support and provide advisory services for aspiring geopark to become a member of GGN, and finally to develop capacity for apgn to be ultimately function like EGN. We are now in the critical stage of wanted to become a UNESCO Geopark initiative. So if this happens next year, then I hope, or I feel that apgn and EGN and some other network, regional network, should act as an independent regional network to support the development of global geopark. Because the world is too huge, we have so far ways from one to another. So the regional network has always been an important vehicle to create more activity in the region. Secondly, apgn as a UNESCO representative to select, assess and establish APG as a global geopark. So we have our own procedure and guideline. Of course, it is guided by UNESCO to do the assessment to sustain the quality of global geopark. And apgn can provide guidance and direction in terms of human resource and institutional capacity for APG Asia Pacific Geopark development. Finally, I have 3 points to share based on my presentation. First, apgn is to facilitate assessment of UNESCO Global Geopark, taking into consideration the difference of region, tradition, culture and governance system. So we cannot have a single formula, even though we must maintain the high quality of geopark, but we must understand the differences, especially the different level of development, the different level of understanding, so that if we want to become a regional network and promote regional geopark, otherwise we will have a imbalance in terms of number of global geopark all over the world. We can have so much in 1 or 2 countries, and there is none of global geopark in more poorer countries. Whereas the principle of global geopark is to promote a rural, poor, regional areas, which has an international outstanding geological resources. Common mission is always strengthening the geological conservation, enhancing socio-economic development of local community, and uphold the sustainable development principle. And finally, apgn should be in the near future an equal partner as EGN or other regional network in UNESCO Global Geopark Initiative. With that, thank you very much.
Next speaker is Dr. Mahito Watanabe. He got a PhD in geology from the Hokkaido University of Japan in